getting to the outside and getting on top. So I'm defending myself, redirecting, but I'm coming down. Now I'm attacking. We were finding in the classroom a lot of limitations actually in the blades we were carrying. Now, there are a lot of great blades out there. From what I was purchasing and thought I was carrying some really nice quality blades. However, there was still, again, limitations in the design. Stuff I was finding only through the use of training that I wouldn't have found if I was just putting it in my dresser and then putting it in my pocket and not leaving the house, but never actually touching it and going hands-on with people. And having a background in corrections, there's a need, obviously, in that type of environment, a real need for having some good edged weapon survival tactics. So being a combative instructor and seeing this and feeling the need for personal safety, I started getting more involved with this training, really trying to expand what I was doing and offering it to my students. And we just couldn't, the more and more we trained, the more I realized there was a need for a better tool. So this started, I was actually looking for it. I wasn't trying to make anything and put a product out. I was trying to buy it. I just wanted to buy the product. I came up with a basic design for what I wanted probably roughly 6 years ago. And I've waited all this time and no one's produced it, at least not that I could find. There may be something very similar. Now there's obviously double-edged blades out there, but they weren't answering all the questions. They weren't covering all the facets I was looking for. This is what we're finding. I need the accessibility from both sides, right? Right-handed, left-handed. Again, I prefer my blade in this reverse grip edge in, so I have it on my dominant side. I also do carry firearms often, and I work with a lot of people who do also. And so people ask me, why are you carrying this on your dominant side? Isn't that your secondary tool? And I'm like, well, yeah, it is. If I'm at lethal force and I have a firearm, sure, that's my dominant tool if it's the right tool for the job. But it's not always, and that's a hard lesson for some people to stomach. Is you've heard this before. Well, I'll just shoot the guy. Well, when we're dealing with clinch fighting, in the context of real problems, real conflict, either this guy might be his game. He might love to go to the ground. He might love to wrestle and clinch fight, and he may, if I'm not training, that's a massive gap in my training. But also, we see it all the time where if somebody's getting the better of somebody else through their boxing, their ranged weapons, it's just natural for us to run in and kind of hug on them. Instinctually, we know this. Somehow we know this eliminates their ability to hit as effectively with as much power. So it's very likely that I'll find myself tied up. And if I cannot access it, again, being left-handed, if I'm carrying appendix, which I normally do, can I access my firearm effectively? At this point, no, I can't. So trying to defeat my garment and trying to draw backwards, that's not an effective way to shoot. I'm not gonna do that, right? Also, if I did try to do that, I'm not in a position to even to wield this, let alone shoot it in an effective manner where he can't take it from me and then use it against me, right? And from this position, I can't use my firearm, but here's my blade now, and I've got that extra distance. So this is now my secondary, even though it's held, carried in on my dominant side. I'm getting this extra range to reach here, right? To get in here, to work this blade, to start working things that I couldn't do with just a firearm. And same thing on the flip side, right? Now, if I'm carrying a firearm and I'm in a position where I need it, now I can look to draw and start working my firearm here. Obviously not shooting myself in the arm. I gotta be careful of where I'm at, but it's a useful tool now. But if I'm not carrying a firearm, if I'm not comfortable, now I still have my blade that I can start working to get out, whatever I decide to do, however. So again, versatility and how you're carrying and how you can access the weapon is crucial to really distinguishing, again, the knife design itself, but also our carry method. This is not carried straight up and down, because one, we want it to be a little bit more comfortable. I didn't want it digging in my guts when I sit down or need to adjust it. This downward position with the cant, that kind of the natural lay of of the blade, the handle in this crease allows me to work all my tools that I need to have the mobility that's crucial to effectively fight for my life without being encumbered by my tools, right? So that's a big deal with our carry position. But also in training, we do a lot of stuff to draw kind of things, right? If Evis is carrying a firearm and he goes to draw it, we do a lot of downward pressure type stuff, right? I'm applying pressure downward to help keep that in the holster. Well, if he puts downward pressure on me while I'm in this downward position, he draws my blade for me, right? He helps me draw. And also, if he has the understanding of, shit, I don't want to push down, I need to push in on the blade, so he's got his hands on my hand trying to stuff my draw. Well, he may control my hand, but he can't control my hips, which then allows me to work my blade out. You can do that from a seated position, from a standing position, off of a wall where you're a little bit more limited. Just having the ability to turn your hips will allow the blade to come out. Another benefit of this position here. But hey, if you get it, it's your blade, you can carry however you want. So you can adjust the the sheath. This is just our preferred carry method. Left-handed, right-handed, right here in the crease. It's super comfortable, super accessible. And what we're finding in the classroom is it's helping us survive those situations a lot better. So, you know, for instance, again, accessibility is huge. If I'm going to have a tool, it needs to be accessible. Otherwise, I might as well have left it at home. Having the ability to grab from my left hand or my right hand becomes essential in making this useful. And you don't really realize that unless you're training, right? People will, again, just carry a knife and they think it's useful, a folder. I love folders. Folders are great. But try unfolding most of these things when you're in a scuffle, when you're tied up with somebody. It's just not going to happen, not effectively. Now, there's some good like self-deploying method or items added to blades. For instance, the Emerson Wave. I love that. However, there's still potential for failure in the heat of the moment when there's that push and pull of energy. And we're just trying to answer that, trying to eliminate it, simplify. In training, we want to eliminate steps and make things as simple as possible, just to make us more efficient. So why not do that with our tools? And that's really where this concept came from. And when I couldn't buy it, I finally got to the point where I said, screw this. There's a bigger need than me just wanting it. I feel like my students, because they understand these limitations, they need it as well. And if they need it, then there's a bigger majority of people that are going to need something like this as well to enhance their survivability. Hey everybody, it's Hugh Crane here with Crane Tech. I just wanted to say, if you guys like this video, if you're interested, you got more questions, go ahead and smash that like button. Give us a shout. I'll respond directly, personally to you, answer your questions, and hit up our website, cranetechknives.com. Check it out, customize the blade the way you want it, and go ahead and get one in your hands.